Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Nedarim, Perek Yud, Chapter 10, Mishnah Beis, Mishnah 2. So in yesterday's Mishnah, we learned that when it comes to a Naira, a girl who is still under her father's domain regarding canceling a neder, if she becomes mu'arasa, if she becomes mu'arasa's betrothed to someone, then we say that both of them are going to have to cancel the neder in order for the neder to be canceled. So now the Mishnah has a case like this. Mesa Av. Let's say while this girl is mu'arasa, she's betrothed, what happens is, and like we say, when she's betrothed, she needs cancellation from both the father and the aris and the person who betrothed her. Now, Mesa Av, the father dies. So the only one left now is the aris, is the person, is the husband, is the chassan, the one who made erisin on her. His power does not transfer over to the husband. Meaning, even though there's no father here anymore, there's only the husband. We don't say, okay, now the husband has complete control over everything. At the end of the day, a girl, whether the father is alive or not, is always to some degree considered in the domain of her father regarding her vows. And the aris is not completely married to her yet, and therefore does not have the power to cancel the vows on his own. And therefore, when the father dies, his power does not go over to the husband, but rather it kind of remains with him, so to speak. He died. It was his domain. It was his power. No one takes that over. And that which means the aris, the person who made the erisin, who's called the husband, because he is a husband, he does not get the power of the father. And therefore, at that point of time, in that situation, no one can cancel her Nedarim, because there's no father to cancel, and there's only a aris who doesn't have the power on his own to cancel. So therefore, if the father dies, then we say his power is not transferred over to the husband. However, Meis Habal, let's say the husband dies, the aris died, then Nisreik the Rishus La'av, his domain does transfer over to the father, because in essence, the way to look at it, to explain it here on the bottom, is since the Nedarim of a betrothed Nara always in her father's control, the control held by her aris is simply added to that of her father. If the aris dies, that added control is removed, only the father's control remains. Meaning the way to understand it when they both have to do it together is that the father really has control, but now there's an aris, he also gets control. He's, so to speak, an added control. The father has control, and he's an added control. And if, let's say, now he dies, the aris, the husband dies, his added control is gone, and now all you're left with the father's control, and therefore he alone can cancel. So in a situation where the husband dies, and there is no more aris, she is now really back to being a girl under her father's domain, and therefore the father will now have the ability on his own to cancel her neder. So on this, the Mishnah now says, in this manner, the power of the father is stronger than the power of the husband. Meaning, in a situation where the father dies, the husband does not take control to be able to cancel her nedarim. But when the husband dies, the aris dies, the father does take complete control and on his own can cancel the neder. But regarding a different situation, the power of the husband, meaning this husband we're talking about, the aris, will actually be stronger than the power of the father. Shabal mefer bebeger, because a husband, meaning meaning what? Just reading the words right now. The husband, meaning here, referring to the husband who is an aris. He only made erisin. He only betrothed her. That kind of husband, mefer bebeger, has the power to cancel the vow of a begeres, a girl who was past 12 and a half. V'ha'av eina mefer bebeger. But a father cannot annul the vow of his daughter who became a begeres. Now, what that means is like this. That means that once she becomes 12 and a half, he cannot cancel her vows anymore. That's derived from the words of the Torah. Derived the words from the Torah specifies that a father can cancel the nedarim of his daughter who is a nara, implying that he cannot cancel those of a begeres when it was older than 12 and a half. This is true whether she is betrothed or single. That's the law. That's the halacha. the father loses his ability to cancel the vows of his daughter, even if she is single, once she reaches the age of Bageres. Done. Now, the Mishnah is saying, but a Baal, an Aris, would be able to annul the neder of a Bageres. Now, we've been learning until now that the husband we're talking about here in the Mishnah, who only made Eris and only betrothed, doesn't have the power on his own to go ahead and annul the vow of the woman who's muretzes, who's betrothed to him. He can't do it on his own. He's got to wait till after Nisuin, until complete marriage. So what does it mean here that this, by a Bageres, the Aris could cancel her neder? How could he cancel her neder? She's only muretzes, it was only betrothal, it was only kedushin done. So here's the case. Our Mishnah, which states that an Aris can cancel the Nedarim of his Bageres Arusa, refers to a special case, namely, where the Nisuin of a Bageres is delayed past its proper time. In that case, according to Belezer, the Aris can cancel Arusas Nedarim as though they were fully married. That means like this. We're going to learn later on in the Mishnah that, when in the times of the Mishnah, if they made a Kedushin, they made up, okay, we have Kedushin, and then there's going to be a chuppah by a certain time. The Mishnah here is talking about, let's say there was a time made for the Nisuin to take place, and it's delayed past its proper time. And if I remember correctly, it's delayed because of her or because of the father, not because of him. In that situation where they're supposed to have Nisuin, they're supposed to have chuppah at this point of time, she's supposed to be fully married to him, but practically speaking, she's not because the chuppah has been delayed, then even though they're not fully married, he can on his own cancel her nedarim. We consider him as if they are fully married at that point of time. And therefore, it will be possible for an Aris, one who is only, a husband she's only betrothed to, is going to have the ability this will be a case where he could annul the neder, even though he can cancel the neder, even though he's only partially married to her. Because when they come to a point of time where they should have been married and they're not yet, we consider them fully married, and therefore he can actually cancel her vow, even though she's a Bageres, which the father would not have been able to have done. So the point of the Mishnah now is that we do have a case where it's the opposite, where the husband, the Aris, will have more power than the father. Because once she becomes a Bageres, the father has no say anymore in her Nedarim, has no power to cancel her Nedarim, no matter what state she's in, even if she's single, while there is a case where the husband, meaning the Aris, what we're talking about in this Mishnah, who's not fully married, would be able to annul the neder of a Bageres in a situation where the wedding was supposed to take place already, the chuppah was supposed to take place, there was a delay, and already she's a Bageres, there was supposed to be a Nisuin on a Bageres, the chuppah is supposed to be made, she's already past 12 and a half, the chuppah is supposed to be made, the chuppah was, again, it was delayed, for whatever it was delayed, and there we say that even though he's only an Aris, only partially married, that is where he can cancel her Nedarim, even though she's a Bageres, which would have been something the father could never do. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi. How long can we delay?